All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are looking at one of the greatest epics in human history, the Ramayana, but we're going to view it through a completely new, mind-bending lens. Through author Akshat Gupta's brilliant theory, we're going to explore a hidden truth that, well, you've probably never even considered before.
Okay, let's dive into this. For centuries, right, we've traditionally viewed Mother Sita as the victim of the story, a naive princess, abducted by a demon king, desperately waiting for her husband to rescue her. But what if we completely challenge that view? What if she wasn't a pawn at all, but rather the grand orchestrator of this entire cosmic game? The big question we're focusing on today is this: Kya Ramayana vastav mein Mata Sita dwara richit ig master plan ta? Basically, was the Ramayana actually Mother Sita's master plan? Let's decode the logic behind this absolutely fascinating explainer of the theory.
So to really understand this, the story kicks off with Ravana's massive ego. When he asked Lord Brahma for the boon of immortality, he specifically demanded to be invincible against gods, celestial beings, demons, and animals. You know what he left out? Humans. Because in his absolute arrogance, he thought humans were just, like insects. They couldn't possibly do him any real harm. And this brilliantly illustrates his biggest mistake, the ultimate fatal loophole. Ravana's blind arrogance became his Achilles heel. Because he was only vulnerable to humans, Lord Vishnu literally couldn't kill him in his divine form. That created a massive cosmic problem, so Vishnu had to incarnate as an ordinary human, Lord Ram. Now, Ram was the ideal man, for sure, but the catch is he was completely oblivious to his own divine powers and his true cosmic identity.
And here is exactly where the Sitayan perspective comes into play. While Vishnu forgot everything to become Ram, Goddess Lakshmi incarnated as Sita, but she remembered. She retained her full divine awareness. Her birth was essentially a covert mission. Her job was to silently guide her human husband toward his destiny of killing Ravana, all without ever breaking his human illusion.
Let's track how this builds, right from day one. If Mother Sita is the mastermind, every single move she makes is calculated. Let's look at her birth. Ravana had actually captured all 9 planets, the Navagrahas, to control the world's destiny. If Sita had been born from a human womb, her future would have fallen right under Ravana's astrological control. So to completely bypass Ravana's cosmic grip, she didn't take birth from a mother, she emerged directly from the earth itself. She made sure from the very beginning that Ravana could never control her fate.
Then, at just 6 years old, she makes another highly intentional move. Right in front of Parashuram, who is this incredibly powerful and fiercely angry sage, little Sita easily lifts Lord Shiva's massive, unliftable bow, the Pinaka. A little girl doing that? It shocked everyone. Why did she do it? Because she knew this exact act would become the absolute condition for her future Swayamvar, her marriage ceremony. She knew that in the entire world, only Lord Ram would be able to lift it, thereby perfectly choosing the right groom for herself. Fast forward to the famous 14-year forest exile. When Ram was banished, he actually asked Sita to stay behind in the comfort and safety of the palace. Even Lakshman's wife, Urmila, stayed back. But Sita, she absolutely insisted on going into the deep, dangerous forests. From the Sitayan perspective, this wasn't just wifely devotion, it was a strategic necessity. She knew her physical presence in the forest was strictly required to advance the plot. Think about it. If she stayed completely safe in Ayodhya, how exactly would Ravana ever find and abduct her?
Now, what's really interesting about this part of the theory is how it reframes some of the most controversial moments of the epic. The same Sita who effortlessly lifted Shiva's bow as a child, do you really think she'd be fooled by a magical golden deer? No way. She feigned that desire for the deer. She intentionally insulted Lakshman using harsh words just to force him to leave her side. And then she deliberately crossed the Lakshman Rekha. This wasn't naivety. She was actively orchestrating her own kidnapping. She knew this was the only way to draw Ravana out of his impregnable stronghold in Lanka.
When you compare this Sitayan theory to the traditional view, the whole picture just flips. Sita is no longer a helpless, naive victim making foolish mistakes. Instead, she is a divine strategist, executing an incredibly high-stakes tactical sacrifice. To trap Ravana, she literally had to walk directly into the enemy's clutches. And Ravana? He had no clue he was walking straight into a divine ambush.
Even during that terrifying abduction, Sita was completely in control. First, she immediately warned Ravana about an old curse from Nalakubara. If he touched a woman without her consent, his head would instantly shatter into 1,000 pieces.
Terrified by that curse, Ravana had to literally uproot the entire chunk of earth she was standing on. He couldn't even lay a finger on her. And then, as she was being carried through the sky, she strategically dropped her jewelry, creating a perfect, military-style breadcrumb trail for Ram and Lakshman to follow.
And that brings us to the ultimate mystery of Ashokvadaka. Months later, when Lord Hanuman finally reaches Lanka, he offers to put Mother Sita on his back and fly her to safety right then and there. Now consider this. If she really was just a terrified, helpless victim, why on earth did she completely refuse his offer of an immediate rescue?
So the crucial point is, if she had left with Hanuman, the entire master plan would have been completely ruined. Remember the loophole in Brahma's Boon? Ravana had to be killed by an ordinary human. Ram had to personally march to Lanka, build the Ram Setu, and fight that epic war himself. If Sita had taken the shortcut with Hanuman, it would have defeated the entire purpose of Ram's human incarnation. This perspective requires a massive mindset shift from us. The author calls this satiology. Basically, looking at these epics not just as fictional mythology or fairy tales, but as logical, historical truths. When you start to see the sheer strategy behind these events, it stops looking like just a story and starts looking like a meticulously planned military and spiritual campaign. So if we piece all these clues together, we arrive at a pretty stunning conclusion. If Ram was the ideal warrior, completely unaware of his divine powers, and Sita was the fully aware goddess setting the chessboard at every single turn, then who was actually driving this story? Mother Sita. She was the true charioteer, silently guiding the entire epic from the shadows.
To really hammer this home, the author Akshat Gupta uses this incredibly powerful, almost chilling analogy. He says, if the Ramayana is a grand battlefield, then in this story, Ram is Arjuna and Sita is Krishna. It makes so much sense, right? Ram is the mighty warrior fighting on the ground, needing guidance. But Sita? She is the divine mastermind holding the reins, knowing exactly what sacrifices need to be made to secure the ultimate victory.
This whole explainer completely shatters our historical biases. It elevates Mother Sita from a helpless damsel in distress to the ultimate architect of victory. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. After diving into all these calculated strategic moves, क्या रामायण वास्तव में माता सीता द्वारा रचित एक मास्टर प्लान था? Was the Ramayana actually Mother Sita's master plan? And honestly, the next time you hear the Ramayana, will you ever be able to see her the same way again?